Pokemon is no longer the gold standard when it comes to pocket monster type games. With the very average showing of Pokemon ZA, this showed that the scrappy underdog Palworld has officially made a better version of Pokemon. Hello everyone, my name is Brock and you're watching the Mushroom Kingdom Network. I'll be honest with everyone, I'm what you would call an older YouTuber. That's right, I was alive when Pokemon first came out. I remember seeing that commercial with all the Pokemon on the bus, and I begged my parents to get me a Game Boy. And I wanted the blue Pokemon because Blastoise is way cooler than Charizard. And if you disagree with me, go ahead and leave a comment for it. I got free time to argue. Now, I'll be honest, I own almost every Pokemon game, with the exception of some of the companion games. Like if I bought Sword, I'm not buying Shield. They were not good enough to warrant buying both. But this franchise has been around for a long time. And it's full of heart and opened the door for a lot of fans to get in the world of video games and anime. All this to say, I think for the most part, Nintendo has been coasting with Pokemon, with the exception of Arceus, because that game is fantastic. Before we walk too far down that road, let's jump over to Palworld. This game and its team did this all in very unconventional ways. They made a trailer before the game. They only had a $6 million budget with a very small team and almost no experience. One of my kids thought that game looked interesting when the trailer first came out, so when we found out it was on Game Pass, we gave it a go. We both had a great time playing it together for a number of reasons. The fact that it was kind of a true co-op experience was really amazing. We built up our base together and were able to assign jobs and task out everything, almost like when we play Minecraft. The survival part of it, I think, really sets it apart from Pokemon and made it feel like its own game. I really appreciated the gameplay loop that the farming and the mining added on top of the monster capturing part. The game itself looked really good. It does seem like an effort was really put into the monster design and the environment. I really enjoyed exploring and finding new monsters. Now let's compare it to Pokemon ZA. They had a chance to make this game more like Arceus, which I believe is probably the gold standard for modern Pokemon games. It took a risk with its gameplay and story that no other game has, and I still really enjoy it to this day. ZA did not do any of this. I bought the Switch 2 version as well as the DLC and paid over $105, compared it to $30 on Palworld or free if you have Game Pass. And you still cannot fully customize your character in these games. It's all preset stuff with some hair choices and maybe some outfits later, which you got a free trench coat if you bought it from GameStop. This game released in 2025 and somehow has less customization than any other game in its genre. The entire game takes place in the city, which is okay, but exploring regions is a core part of Pokemon, and the freedom of exploration is in its DNA. But I'm okay and was willing to give it a chance since it seemed like a big swing. The city of Luminos is pretty forgettable. Even though it should feel huge, it manages to feel cramped, on top of the fact that most buildings are all reused assets, over and over, to the point where it feels like you're stuck in the back rooms. You cannot enter most buildings. It would have been great to throw in an Easter egg shop of some kind, or other things to explore. Maybe have callbacks to other games that really made the city feel real and lived in. But it just almost feels and looks like the plain cities from the first Twisted Metal game. Now let's compare this to Palworld, and I'll try to be fair. As I said earlier, yes, Palworld's environments look great, but its biggest drawback for me is it did feel kind of small, and for lack of a better phrase, felt pretty basic. If they make another game, I hope that the environment can feel more unique to Palworld rather than basically a forest with some ruins around it and a beach. Jumping back to ZA, I want to give it some compliments, despite it being a disappointment. It is an overall solid game. If I had to rank it, it's a 7 out of 10. I do think the story is somewhat interesting paired with the missions, and it's a lot of fun to rank up against other trainers. Although I prefer the turn-based combat style overall, I do think the real-time battling system was a lot of fun and keeps battling from getting repetitive like it has in previous games. And I don't know, it's still pretty fun. It's hard to find high points in this game though because of the effort they put in. It's like they wanted to get a C rather than an A in class. And having companies with that much money and that much goodwill and nostalgia in their product to shovel out something that is basically mid is pretty unacceptable, and it's getting really tiring at this point. Caution to all viewers, old man yells at cloud rant coming. Companies and people need to start having some kind of pride in what they do. Not everything should be about profit. Do stuff for pride. Be the best because it's awesome to be the best. Alright, old man yells at cloud rant over. Let me get back to the reason we're all here. Why is Palworld better than Pokemon ZA? Yes, I broke down all the small reasons these games are what they are, the good and the bad. But when you put it all together and you build the foundation and the soul of these games, what are they? For me, any game, the only thing that really matters in the end is one question. Is it fun? Pokemon ZA is fine. I would play it here and there, but I never lost myself in it. I never was wondering, oh man, when will I have time to play it again? Palworld was able to capture me in a way while I was driving on my way to work or had a low point in my day. I think, oh, how would I want to redesign our base? Who do I want to be in charge of gathering food or getting supplies or doing the farming? We are all at an interesting time in gaming. AAA companies think they need to spend 6 years and 6 figures on making games, what they will need to be a blockbuster and to make a blockbuster profit. So many franchises are being stopped or put on ice because of this, and we get more safe releases at almost $100 that no one wants, rather than games like Helldivers 2, Palworld, Cult of the Lamb, Silksong that are selling from anywhere from $20 to $40, with fans buying them up and playing them even longer. Nintendo has had 3 major releases for the Switch 2, Mario Kart World, DK Bonanza, and Pokemon ZA. And out of these games, maybe DK is worth the sale price, but if you include its DLC, it's definitely not worth the price. If I had to pick a winner between this matchup, it's Palworld. Not only because I just had a better time, but it took on a giant in the industry, and as of writing the script, they're winning in the courts, and that's not something you see a lot anymore. ZA is still worth your time, and if you love Pokemon, you should definitely buy it. I just wish they loved the fans half as much as they loved profits. That's it for today's video. Best of luck in this crazy world. Goodbye.